Hello, and welcome to a thrilling movie called In Time. In a world where people genetically stop aging at 25, time is the new currency, and the rich live forever. By 2169, people genetically stop aging at 25. A one-year timer appears on their arm. Since society values time, they must work to survive. Rich people live forever. To divide the classes, New Greenwich is the richest time zone in the country. In the ghetto, Will and his mother Rachel live in a tiny apartment with barely enough money to survive. Rachel forbids Will's time-fighting side business because it always fails. Will is still generous and helps young Maya survive when he sees her on the street. Will and his best friend Burrell work at the local factory where they're always raising snack prices and often find timed-out corpses on the floor. The factory always finds an excuse to pay them less for not meeting their quota, even though they're paid by the day. Will visits a bar where he gambled to get an hour from a man one night. He also meets Burrell, who is happily getting drunk thanks to a crazy guy buying drinks for everyone. Henry's century-old timer Will warns Henry about the Minutemen, time-stealing gangsters, but Henry doesn't listen. As Will predicted, gang leader Fortis appears and challenges Henry to a time fight. Will stays behind in case everyone else leaves. Henry accepts the challenge, but requests a bathroom break. Will knocks out the gangster and escapes with Henry through the back door. They hide in an abandoned factory that Will locks from the inside. Henry says he left New Greenwich because he's 105 and tired of living. Will wonders why a rich guy is in the ghetto. Will's ignorance amuses Henry. He says the ghetto's rising cost of living ensures people keep dying because the rich can only survive if the poor die. Henry falls asleep and wakes up first, giving Will all his time except 5 minutes. After waking up, Will sees Henry sitting on the bridge before he times out. Will checks the bridge to make sure Henry is dead before fleeing, unaware of the security cameras. Henry visits Burrell's house shortly after and meets Greta and their newborn. Henry gives Burrell a decade, matching their 10 years together. Henry waits for his mother at the bus stop at night, but she never arrives. Rachel has an hour and a half left, but the afternoon bus fare increased, so she can't afford it. Rachel must run to see her son after a 2-hour walk home. Will runs after realizing what's happening. Mother and son crash in the street, but Rachel passes out in Will's arms. The next morning, Timekeeper's police find Henry's body in the river. Agent Leon believes he was murdered for his time and orders his men to check the security footage. They see Will's face, but not his body, due to the camera angle. They assume he killed Henry. Will wants his mother's death avenged. He pretends to be a rich guy who got lost and hires a limo to take him to New Greenwich, paying a very high toll every time he crosses a border. He stays in a nice hotel in the city and meets socialite Sylvia. Will eats while Sylvia observes after resting. Will tips well, so the waitress treats him well, despite knowing he's not from here. She also suggests that Will dress better for the casino. Will crossing so many time zones in a few hours make the system suspicious, allowing the timekeepers to locate him? Leon recalls pursuing Will's father. Will buys a suit and goes to the casino, where they ask for a year's voluntary donation since he's not a member. Will plays poker with Mr. Weiss, a time-loaning businessman who bets big. Sylvia, Weiss' daughter, watches while Will bets everything. Weiss invites Will to his next party after Will wins the game. Will buys a luxury car the next day and drives to Weiss' party. Will's ghetto background intrigues Sylvia, who invites him to dance. She admits she sometimes envies people from the ghetto because she lives with her father's guards without real freedom and wishes she could do something foolish or worthwhile. Will takes her skinny dipping on the beach behind the house, which is stupid. Sylvia initially hesitates but joins him in the water and discusses doing more foolish things. Sylvia hides with Will in a cave and asks him to return before they get caught. They enter the mansion through different doors to avoid suspicion. The timekeepers interrupt Weiss's poker game with Will after tracking his car purchase. Will is interrogated in a private office, but they don't believe him about Henry timing out on purpose and taking most of his time, leaving him only 2 hours for booking and processing. Will doesn't remember his father, but Leo says he resembles him. Will uses the distraction to beat the timekeepers and steal a gun before escaping. He kidnaps Sylvia and escapes in Will's car. Leon chases Will around the city and hits his car, but Will drives backward. He dodges a truck at the last second, but Leon doesn't react fast enough and crashes into it, saving Will. Will asks Sylvia for time on the way to the ghetto, but she refuses. Will is distracted by the security cameras at the bridge and doesn't see the spike strip, causing the car to crash. Fortis and his men find Will and Sylvia unconscious minutes later and start stealing Sylvia's time. The timekeeper's sirens approach and the gangsters flee, leaving Sylvia with 30 minutes. After waking up, Sylvia panics about her limited time and asks Will for help. Will helps her before taking her into town, finding it ironic that she now shares. After they leave, the timekeepers arrive to inspect the car, but Leon must first request his daily pay because he never carries extra time. Leon realizes Will contact them first and stops pursuing him. Will goes to Burrell for help, but Greta tells him Burrell died from drinking with 9 years left on his timer. Sylvia freaks out again, but Will drags her to the pawn shop because she has fancy earrings. After seeing how valuable the rings are, the owner reconsiders closing. He also notices their time crunch and pays them for 2 days, which they must accept to survive. Will makes Sylvia call Leon from a payphone. Will demands 1,000 years for the ghetto timelines as ransom. Leon warns Will that he's becoming too much like his father and reveals that the man died doing something more dangerous than a time fight. Will hangs up. Leon informs Sylvia's parents of the ransom, and Weiss refuses to give even pocket change. Sylvia changes into Rachel's old clothes and stays at Will's apartment for the night. Will tells Sylvia that his father was a great time fighter and taught him some tricks. He grabs Sylvia's arm to demonstrate time fighting, a battle of wills between timers. His dad taught him to let the opponent think they have the upper hand, let his clock almost reach 0, and then take it all when the opponent is distracted by his upcoming death. Will now thinks his dad died because he gave away what he had won, not in a time fight. Will and Sylvia then recounted their 25th birthdays. Will's timer started when he was on the street, and he almost lost his extra year because they were in debt. Sylvia woke up peacefully in bed and received a decade from her dad. Will watches the timeline building from the window the next morning, but they don't have any charity, so Weiss didn't pay the ransom. Sylvia's father's neglect hurts her, but she realizes he got rich by trampling on others' rights. Sylvia refuses to go home, forcing Will to work with her and kiss her. Will gives Sylvia the gun to protect herself while he watches. Weiss quickly answers Sylvia's call and ignores her insults to warn her the timekeepers are coming. Sylvia shoots Will in the arm when she turns around and sees Leon approaching. Will checks Leon's timer and learns that timekeepers don't keep much time to deter thieves, so he gives Leon time for his coworkers to rescue him. Leon leaves town while Will and Sylvia escape in Leon's car. Luckily, his fellow keeper saves him. Later, Sylvia says they can't drive in a police car, giving Will an idea. He stops a car by pretending to be a timekeeper, then they steal the rich lady's earrings and time, leaving her with 1 day to flee in her car. After leaving town, they stop to watch the news and learn they're wanted. Will urges Sylvia to return, but she prefers this. Weiss is deceiving his investors. Leon tells him this isn't a kidnapping, and Sylvia is being pursued like a criminal. Leon refuses Weiss's bribe and reminds him to tell the keepers if Sylvia contacts him. He'll face accomplice charges otherwise. Later, Sylvia asks Will if he would give time if he had it. She plans after Will agrees. They steal a Weiss money truck and crash it into a time bank, stealing as many time capsules as possible. Ghetto residents get the remaining capsules. Nothing remains when the timekeepers arrive. Greta finds Will's apology time capsule in her laundry at night. Will spends time with the homeless Maya. The timeline clerk distributes the rest of their stolen time. Leon finds time in the timekeeper's office and thinks Will is hurting the people he's trying to help. The next morning, Fortis tries to rob a man who bought a gun. Fortis pretends to release him, but shoots him when he turns around. Fortis is shocked when he sees the guy's timer. Will and Sylvia start robbing time banks and making the news. Weiss thinks his daughter was trying to kill him, but his wife reminds him that he almost suffocated her. Leon's men find Will's apartment a week later and prepare to arrest them. However, Will hears the radio chatter from the window and runs away with Sylvia, breaking into a different apartment and jumping through a back window, landing safely in a car. Leon copies them and chases them through town, and Leon shoots them when Will and Sylvia go to the roofs. Will and Sylvia get off the roofs and take the bus after failing to shoot back. Will bribes the driver into silence, and they leave Leon behind. Will and Sylvia check into a hotel a few hours later, paying extra for all the rooms and for the receptionist to keep quiet. After being told the hotel is full, a new client sees Will and Sylvia going upstairs. Later, Fortis and his men threaten passers-by for Will and Sylvia's information. Fortis kills a man to prove his seriousness. The hotel guy confesses. Will and Sylvia are insulted to learn that their heads are worth 10 years at the hotel. Fortis bursts in with his men and holds the couple at gunpoint, explaining that the timekeepers should leave him alone because he steals from his own people and must restore order. He challenges Will to a time fight because he hates murder. Will uses his father's trick to steal Henry's time when he checks his timer. Will shoots all the guards before Fortis times out. Will and Sylvia leave the hotel before the timekeepers arrive. Will prices and loan rates rise faster to compensate for the new street time hours later? Their small robberies would take 1,000,000 years to even make a dent. Sylvia can find such a sum. The next day, Weiss goes to work with more bodyguards. Sylvia's surrender causes the guards to turn around. Weiss accepts her. Will captures him after this distraction. Will and Sylvia then force Weiss to open his office safe with a 1,000,000-year capsule. Weiss points out that giving a year to 1,000,000 people prolongs their suffering and that flooding the Ron zone with 1,000,000 years could crash the system, so Will says he wants that to happen. Locking Weiss in his office, Will and Sylvia escape. After hearing about the robbery, the timekeepers block the bridge to prevent them from returning to the ghetto. Leon is also chasing them, and when he finds them, he forgets his daily pay. Will drives through the time zone barrier to reach the ghetto as the keepers fire on them. Leon immediately hits their car. Will gives Maya the 1,000,000-year capsule before he and Sylvia pretend to surrender. A smug Leon thinks he's won, but the timeline announces there's time for everyone, and an eager crowd fills the street, blocking Leon and allowing Sylvia and Will to escape. Leon pushes people aside to get back in his car and chase the robbers, but when they cross another barrier, Leon must follow them on foot. Will guesses Leon is from the ghetto when he catches up. Leon confirms this and says he worked hard to get out, which is right, then he tries to arrest them. Will says it's pointless because he and Sylvia only have a few minutes left and will die soon. Leon checks his timer and realizes he doesn't have much time either because he didn't get paid. Leon dies on the road when his clock expires. Will and Sylvia kiss goodbye with seconds left. However, Will runs to Leon's car to steal time from the keepers. Will runs back to Sylvia and meets her halfway, giving them time before her death. Weiss tells his employees to stop working because it's over. Nationwide newscasts show protests. People cross zones to get to New Greenwich as factories sit idle. Authorities claim control, but everyone knows the system will collapse. Since they can't help, timekeepers' employees go home. Will and Sylvia escape and target larger banks to prevent the old system from returning. We hope you enjoyed this thrilling ride and the message it conveys. As Will says, we're not meant to last forever. We have to make the time we have matter. Let this movie inspire you to make every moment count and fight for what's right. Remember, time is precious, and how we spend it determines the course of our lives. Thank you for watching, where we bring you the latest movie recaps. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content and hit the notification bell to never miss a video. See you next time, take care, and stay curious.